Belmont head coach Dave Jarvis, the Bruins picked up 2 first-place votes, picked it in the middle of the pack in the OVC. Coach, just thoughts on your team heading into this 2022 season?
Well, I really like the culture of our team so far. The things that I see in our locker room and in our dugout, I think it's outstanding. I give a lot of credit to that, not only to my assistant coaches, but the upperclassmen. Like all teams in college baseball, especially at the mid-level, we've got an older roster. A lot of guys that have returned for their 5th year, one even for his 6th year because of a medical hardship that had happened. So we've got a lot of older guys that bring a lot of maturity, a lot of experience. And as I say, you see that throughout college baseball over the last couple of years and probably even into next year. I think you're going to continue to see that as well. So I feel like we've got a chance to have a really good team. I think all of our competition is going to be really good as well and really experienced with the older rosters that I'm looking at for them as well. So I think it's going to be a good year in college baseball as a result of these things.
Well, Coach, I want to start with your pitching staff. And you alluded to some of those people there. So, Andy Bean was an all OVC selection last year. Joshua South, who got voted to the preseason team, he was the preseason pitcher of the year last year. You have, some great relief pitchers too. Kyle Brennan, who's done a little bit of both. So how can you sum up what the staff might be going into this season?
Well, I feel like it's a staff that really has done a great job in their time in college baseball of being able to execute pitches and string good innings together. I mean, when you look at what Josh South has done and what his track record is and what Andy Bean's done over his first, I guess, year and a half since he was a member of the COVID team back in 2020, where we played 17 games or so. And then add last year onto that, you look at what Kyle Brennan has done throughout his time here, now in his 5th year as a result of the COVID year. So it gives you a lot of, you want to just make sure we keep those guys healthy, because if we stay healthy on the mound and we stay healthy on a roster, I feel like we've got a chance to compete against anybody and compete for a championship, no doubt about that. But we'll see what the future holds too. You just never know as you enter into a spring. We've all got a lot of high aspirations, and as well, I think we should in this league. There's a lot of very good talent and very good rosters in this league, as I see it. But you never know what the future holds. We've definitely learned that over the last 2 or 3 years.
Since you've been in the league now for a while, and what the last coach just talked about, for a while there, offensive Valley Conference, everybody was hitting, and it seems to maybe have changed a little bit. So again, you don't know what's going to happen, but do you see it being a little bit more balanced, maybe a little bit more pitcher friendly this year, or maybe some of that offense to creep back up?
Well, I always think that in this league, offense is going to be, is always going to be there. You might be able to stymie offense for a few games with really good pitching or some unusual weather where wind is blowing in, things like that. But this is an offensive league. There's always a lot of really good hitters. There's always a lot of kids that are capable of putting together great at-bats. They're going to put up great offensive numbers if you look over the course of the entire year. So and ballparks, there's some ballparks that are kind of conducive to that. That's a factor beyond anyone's control. And then weather, I think, really does begin to play a bit of a factor in this league as well, too. If it's cold spring, I think the numbers are a little bit different than if it's a warm spring a lot of times. But having said that, that takes nothing away from the pitching staffs or the pitching coaches and the head coaches, the way they prepare their teams defensively and their approach on the mound. In that regard, I think that, as you said, that there's a trend where scores aren't as crazy. Occasionally you'll see one like you do in every conference in America, but pitching staffs are really doing a good job. And I think that technology has played a large part in that, and video has played a large part in that, and people having more access and are better prepared to go up against lineups and go up against hitters for sure.
Let's go to Van Stokes from the Governor's Sports Network with a question. Go ahead, Van.
Coach, it's been a pleasure to watch you, and in particular, as you've coached your third baseman, Logan. He's a senior. he is like a coach on the field, but he's an extension of the family from which he came as well. Talk about his play and talk about what it's like and what his role, not just as a performer making plays at third or offensively, but his role on the team and how you rely on him.
Man, thank you. I appreciate your question. It's been my pleasure as well, too. Just know that. Logan has been, I've been blessed to get to coach college baseball for 40 years. When I started 40 years ago, I had a younger brother that was actually on the roster of the team that I started my coaching career out. So that gave me some experience in that type of relationship. But to Logan's credit, he's been voted the third time as a captain by his teammates. As you say, he does a lot of leadership for us on the field, in the dugout, in the locker room as well. I'm proud to know him. I'm very proud of him as a son, for sure. No doubt about that. He's an outstanding player. He's been our leading hitter the last 3 years. And he deserves a lot of credit for that because he's had to put up with me as a head coach and work through all of that as well, too. So I can be pretty cantankerous with him at times, but he's a whole lot smarter than I am. I realize that on a daily basis when I have baseball conversations with him. And he's an extremely hard worker and very dedicated. But he is a part of the team, and my goal is to treat him just as exactly like I treat everyone else and all of my players. And as a parent of 3 sons, that I'm very proud of each and every one of them, it's a situation where I try to treat all of my players, and have for years, like they were my son. I started out trying to treat all the other players like they were my brother. And now, as an older coach, I try to treat them all as they were my son, or the way any parent would want their son to be treated. And hopefully that's fairly and in the most honest way that I possibly can. But to Logan's credit, he does a tremendous job and really has played well for us, both defensively and offensively over this past few years, for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. And as the father of 3 grown sons as well, my hat is off to you, and just kudos for what you've done. My last question, Coach, as you go through the OVC this time, your thoughts about the OVC. You will step away from it after this year. Belmont will, I should say. Your thoughts about the conference and what this year means to you.
Well, that part will be sad for me, Van, to be honest with you. I first was involved with the Ohio Valley Conference back in the spring of 94 at Murray State University as an assistant under Mike Tiki there at Murray, and just really kind of fell in love with the league and a lot of the small towns, which is where I grew up. A lot of these ballparks, I think, have so much history to them, and there's a lot of aspects of the Ohio Valley Conference that are very cool. The thing that I enjoy the most, though, I will confess, is I really enjoy the coaches that we have in this league. I think we've got a really good group of men that get up every day, try to work very hard. We all, in college baseball, we all have a lot of things that we're trying to improve, that we're trying to grow and develop within our programs, within our facilities, within our recruiting, and so forth. And I just have a world of respect for these opposing coaches, especially some of these younger coaches that are in the league now. And it has transitioned over this last decade or so that we've been in the conference. And these guys, man, they bring it, and they're really working hard. And it brings back a lot of memories for me as when I was their age, just the way you go about your business. But it's going to be a melancholy year in a lot of ways, because the OVC is always going to be a special place in my heart.
Well, you will be the opening weekend for the Governors. That's the 25th, 26th, and the 27th opening weekend in conference play, 25th through the 27th of March at Belmont. I will not be there with Austin Peay. I've got another commitment with USA Wrestling on that weekend. So let me just take this opportunity to say it has been a pleasure to watch your teams and be around your teams for the past number of years. And I tip my hat to you on the job that you've done.
I'm honored by that, man. Thank you so very much. The same feeling is mutual on my part with you. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time this morning for talking to us, and best of luck as this season gets started.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you. Thank you.